The spirit of William Blake is everywhere.
You were a poet and a painter, and now you are a killer.
Do you know my poetry?
Played by Johnny Depp in Dead Man. Then in The Silence of the Lambs prequel, where this guy eats Blake's original art. In his lifetime, back in 18th century London, he was considered a madman. Oh, how they hated him back then, with his anti-slavery ideas and even respecting women as equals. So even though he was a Christian, he had no fans there. He also told stories about being visited by God as a child, and throughout his life by angels and even the prophet Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 25:17.
Needless to say, he was not a very popular artist or poet, and he continued his day job as an engraver until the day he died, which left him broke on his deathbed, and he spent his last money on a pencil with which he drew a portrait of his wife. Only a small portion of his work was saved by the next generations, but in the 20th century his time had come. First great thinkers like Freud and Jung, then artists like Bob Dylan and Jim Morrison, all took their inspiration from William Blake. This scene from Prometheus is giving me a lot of William Blake as well, so I'll use it as the topic for this style challenge. Okay, so here we have a realistic set of proportions. Head is 1/8, bottom of the crotch is in the midpoint, and as you see, artists tend to exaggerate some stuff, so Michelangelo exaggerated his hands, heads were also often bigger. And then this, the lower part of the obliques, very popular in the Greco-Roman period, because it divides the body in two pieces, and that symmetry was very popular at the time. So William Blake's heads are quite big. He also does the low six-pack. You maybe took that from David, because real abs go up to the pecs. There is a rib cage, which you can see when you suck in your stomach, like in this vacuum pose. But even with those two guys, when they relax, the abs go up to the pecs. Also here, Blake takes some artistic license with anatomy. If Arnold would have been alive, maybe he would have drawn it like this. I love this pose. It's a classic Spider-Man pose. Okay, so I'm gonna do the engineer on a cliffside. Maybe summoning some fire. So most of these paintings that I'm going off of are black and white etchings, which he went over with watercolors. And yeah, they're hundreds of years old, so they must have been a bit brighter at the time, I assume. But I'm just gonna go with this exact color palette though. A good way to get a color palette is to use the mosaic filter on Photoshop, and that basically gives you a color palette from which you can pick colors. Some noise filters, pattern overlay, and here, boom! William Blake plus Prometheus is this. I think I went a bit overboard on the noise filter, but yeah, this was a little bit of a detour from the comic book artists I usually do challenges with. Let me know what you think. Drop a like if you think I succeeded, and catch you next time.